Yeah, here we go for the 100th time. Hand grenade pins in every line. Throw them up and let something shine. Going out of my fucking mind. Filthy mouth, no excuse. Find a new place to hang this noose. String me up from atop these roofs. Not it tight so I won't get loose. Truth is you can stop and stare. Run myself out and no one cares. Dug the trench out, lay down there with a shovel up out of reach somewhere. Yeah, someone pour it in. Make it a dirt dance floor again. Saying prayers and stop it out when they bring that chorus in. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it away. I bleed it out, digging deeper just to throw it.
Got to click the button. Wakey, wakey. If you weren't awake, you are now. I thought I'd just use an old intro piece. I'll probably have to be demonetized. Not that I am monetized, but I'll be banned from ever monetizing this video now that I've used someone else's music. Shame on me. All right. Let's see what we wanted to do today. I've got a couple of comments chipping in here. Mike, good to see you. And Brian and Mr. Fry, what is up, dog? It's been hours since I've spoken to you. Eric, good to see you. So today, simple thing, quick catch up, because it's been a while since I've done a video catch up, and I can actually see myself in the background here. That's really odd. Reflections, what are you going to do? So new place, hopefully we won't have any of these issues when I do video and live streams and things like that. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever's giving them. Appreciate it. If you're joining, say hi. Charles, good to see you, my friend. So today I wanted to do video catch up with you and talk about what's going on. I had posted, I think, 6th of April, 3rd of April, something like that, a blog post about taking an additional job or contract that I had, hey, Duck Overlord, that I had taken this extra work. And I was thinking that I wasn't going to have very much time at all to play or, write or any of that. And plus I was in kind of a motivational funk and really wasn't with the space I have here right behind the screen, actually, literally 1/3 of a dining room table to play. And I was getting a little frustrated. So sitting in the same seat to work, same seat to write, same seat to relax, kind of mushes everything together. So I had decided to take a break from really making that commitment to you guys to blog every, twice a week, have 2 posts and a video once a week or thereabouts, just to take the pressure off and not worry about it, right? Well, so I get this new gig and it's for 90 days. And we're now, because they actually backdated the contract because it took them so long to get it done, which is kind of nice. But so we're basically 6 weeks into this thing, and I really haven't done a whole lot, and I haven't been tasked with anything, and I'm asking to do stuff to help them get their business up and running over here, and they're all focused on other things. So it's kind of odd. So I'm hoping next Thursday I'll have a meeting with the new CEO now that he's on board. He's been doing some work and all this sort of stuff, trying to get his head around the business. And I'm hoping that he'll task me so I can start managing my time, because I'm getting up early in the morning and staying up super late so that I'm available for Australian time zones and in Perth, no less. And then obviously available during the day for the CEO guy. Plus I have my regular job that I do. So it's been awkward. And I think it sort of being on, not standby, but waiting to know what my workload is going to be like has been a challenge for me. And every time I go, that because it's too complicated or too hard or take too long or won't take long enough and all the rest of it. So it's been an odd 6 weeks or so since we got this thing going. But the good news is I'm starting to feel a little more invigorated and motivated, and I will thank Lock and Load Publishing for that, because they sent me, I'm going to just shuffle the set of boxes here. They sent me, which by the way, it's a big box, and they sent me First Victories. I only said Last Victories. Sent me First Victories, and I played the Holissa scenario until I went away for the weekend and the cat demolished the map. But I'm going to set up Famirio and play that. Hopefully that will be the next or close to next title that I get set up. I actually have a copy of the canvas map here as well, so I'm going to use that because this version didn't come with the Famirio map, so they sent me a replacement. So I'm gonna we'll get into this in more detail, and I think that battle will, while it is hilly and there's streams and things in the way, there will be a little bit more maneuver in that particular battle in slightly more open terrain at the very least. And I think that will help us get a better feel for the gameplay and the pace and more about the mechanics and things like that. I think that'll be cool. So we'll do, I definitely want to do that. And then, you know, the other thing so what I want to do is run through a stack of games that I'm interested in playing, get your opinions on them and your feedback, and go from there. And the other thing that I actually have going on is I got this freaking elbow issue. And I've been a physical therapist and doctor and all the rest of it. And, you know, the doctor's saying rest it. And the physical therapist is saying, yeah, stretch it and do all this stuff, but work through the pain when my arm is in certain positions. And then be a girly man the rest of the time and nurse it. So I'm having a hard time doing that because you use your hands for everything, right? I can't even lift a fry pan with this thing. Can't pick up a cup of coffee. So it's awkward. So that's been bothersome as well. And just that constant sort of that low grade discomfort. So no, nothing to complain about. I'm not going to drop dead tomorrow. So life is good. Let's look at some of this stuff that I wanted to get to. Look, I got this sent to me, the Guadalcanal game from by Mike Nagel from War Diary. This was kind of sent to me out of the blue, and I feel really bad because I've had it for 6 or 8 weeks and haven't touched it yet. And I would love to, get this to the table, you know, because it's the Battle for Henderson Field and it's a reboot and all this sort of stuff. And I think there's some fixes being made to the original. So it's well worth me trying to get stuck into it. So I'm excited about trying to find some time to do that. I have a hankering to play some OCS, and I was looking at trying to find a small scenario from Hungarian Rhapsody because I haven't punched this thing yet. I've had this for must be 2 years now. I've got the latest set of rules for it, and all this stuff is in here in nice full color and not a counter punched. It's making me sad that I've got an OCS title that's not punched and clipped sitting here. So I would like to do some of that. I'd like to get, whether it's Aracourt or another larger game in the BCS series, I'd like to get maybe a smaller scenario of Last Blitzkrieg up to the table, sharing some of these with you, because this conversation we had last night with Jeff and Todd and McMurray, Andy, was that, there's monsters that we can play, right? And there are equivalent battles that we can look at from smaller formats and simpler formats. And that got me thinking about a lot of the bigger games that I would like to get to the table that I really can't do because I don't have the space. So I'm a little bit frustrated about that. But are there other ways that I could get titles to the table that I'm really interested in playing, as opposed to just picking a small format game because it's something to do? And I think that's been part of the problem with my malaise for gaming. I really haven't done as much gaming that I'm super excited about, because I prefer some of the larger format things. So Mike Curtis, I appreciate that. Yeah, I love the OCS stuff, and part of me wants to wait to do any more OCS until we get into the house, because we're coming along with the house, and I'm super excited about it. I'm posting pictures all the time, and I hope it doesn't come up on Facebook. I hope that doesn't come across the wrong way. I'm not trying to brag about stuff. I'm so psyched to get out of this fucking small, this little space we have here in my 32 by 24, 34 by 24 gaming space that I have. So I'd love to be able to do some live play of OCS and other titles, such that you guys can, get more out of it rather than me just waffling on about it every now and then. So, okay, anyway, so I talked about Guadalcanal, talked about BCS, talked about OCS. I'd love to get some of that going, and I've still got to get this Vermerio title to the table. I've been talking about TCS a lot lately with friends and in the TCS group on Facebook. I bought this and sold it, played it, enjoyed it savagely. Particular module, it's dealing with the Mantanacao part of the Guadalcanal campaign. So that kind of dovetails into this bad boy. And I think I might have to play this again just because. But once again, it's a time thing, right? So we'll see how that goes. I purchased a game on a whim called They Were Soldiers. I don't know if I even did a shrink rip on it. It has toy soldiers in it. So it's this big. Whoa, there's nothing there. They Were Soldiers. So it comes with two battles. There's the Battle of Yardrang and what's the other one? Dak To. Two maps. Unfortunately, it is as simplistic as I thought it would be. And yeah, Hill 875, Dak To. I think I may have done a shrink rip on this. Got these little charts, and then you've got these discs that represent the soldiers. But you've got the soldiers. You put a soldier on the map, and then a number of discs underneath it to show you. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there are little guys in there. And obviously, I'm not painting them. But you put the guys in. You put the discs underneath the guys, and then when you lose soldiers, you pull discs out, and it's got sort of a hidden movement thing for the VC, and then you put the VC on the map, and it's basically a handful of dice thing. You roll a 5 or a 6 or a 1 or a 2, one or the other, and you hit something, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I paid probably too much for it, so I'm going to play it just to get the monetary value out of the game, at least get an hour's entertainment out of it, if not more. And so while we're on the whole Pacific Theater thing, I'll bring this guy up. Hey, it's Kyle. Good to see you. And yeah, this is the other thing. I do have to plan on making room for games like that are coming that I've ordered. Eric, I will come back to that question to remind me. We're not going to go anywhere in a hurry here. Richard, good to see you. As Todd asks, what era, what scale are you looking for, Eric? So be thinking about that, and so give us the theater that you like to play in, a scale you want to play, and then I can recommend some, and I'm sure everyone else here will have lots of informed opinions as well. Let's see who else we got here. And Mike, yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. I get a little excited. I only post half the pictures I take because I'm taking like, oh, look, he's a plug. So anyway, I want to talk about this guy, the Solomon Islands. I've only played one scenario from the last 100 yards of this particular module. Really like it. Got to get some more to the table. I would like, I'm trying to find a smaller scenario so it'll fit. And it doesn't leave me a lot of choices in this because most of them are 2 maps or more. And I'm having a hard time. Hey, Kilroy, good to see you. I'm having a hard time grokking, finding a scenario that'll fit in my space to play, which is problematic. Which brings me to 3 other games that I'm pretty curious about. And I'm also, if you have ideas, if you can look at my Board Game Geek collection, my username there is Hipshot, I think. Have a look at that. if you see something you might like to see me play, send me a note in over on Board Game Geek, or an email or a Facebook message, and I'd be happy to add it to the list, right? I'm not sure that I'll be able to do live plays and stuff like that because I don't get enough private quiet time here. I don't know if you can hear the dishwasher going in the background, but it's always a challenge to have the quiet that you need to be able to A, focus, B, play the game, and then provide narration while you're playing is a mental challenge for someone as such as myself. So the last three titles I want to talk about a little bit. Carrier Battles Philippine Sea. I've read the rules. It feels very familiar because of Carrier Battles, which I've played just the one time. So I think I could set the campaign up and just hit this pretty easily. It may not be the best tactical approach to things per se, but I think we could certainly hit it. But one of the things that I was curious about with this, and it's not in this this pamphlet that I have here, the rule book here, there's an alternate scenario that posits that the losses at Midway didn't happen, and I'm curious about playing that. But I think you would need to adjust the search results a little bit, because clearly, if you played that scenario under those assumptions that Midway didn't happen, or it wasn't as successful as the Americans wanted it to be, there'd be more American carriers, and there'd be certainly a lot more Japanese carriers. And so this stance, or the readiness stance, and the wariness, and the what's the right word for it? The inclination to have search up would be completely different. And I don't think that's covered in that scenario. And if anyone's played it, I'd love to know. And if you're thinking about playing it, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that comment. And I posted a comment on the Compass Games, I guess on the enthusiasts page. I didn't get any responses back. So maybe that is just, who knows, not something people are thinking about yet. But I think saying that Midway didn't happen, and then saying that for the Battle of the Philippine Seas, that the U.S. only sent out 12 search aircraft is stupid, and that it should be something else. And so that the search metrics, the search results would need to change to represent or facilitate or enable a more appropriate set of search patterns, I think. So that would make sense. Who said 4x8? Oh, that's Eric. Okay, cool. Yeah, 4x8. Okay, so you're not. That's not a small space, Eric. You're going to be fine. 4x8. You can play a 2-map game. You could probably squeeze in a 3-map game. So the world is your oyster. Just hit it, right? Just go buy games and play them and work out what you like. That's what I would do. Masters of Book. What are we talking about here? Hey, Thomas, good to see you, man. Yeah, happy Easter, and yeah, Good Friday. Not necessarily a happy day, but potentially happy day, because just 3 days later, good things happen, right? Richard, good to see you. I think you did not say hi. Good to see you. And JS, good to see you joining in. Thank you very much. I'm looking at the comments here real quick, and I'm going to then we'll continue on with these other games here. You know, part of my problem when I do these live things is I kind of run things through things fairly quickly. So I don't want to, because I'm fearful of boring the crap out of you. I guess I could have pontificated about all those titles far more extensively, and we would have an hour and a half long session. But I don't have an hour and a half, so we can't do that. All right. The next thing that I'm interested in, and that reminds me. Hang on a second. I'm going to make a note here. I need to bring this topic up because it's interesting to me. So before I get into these last two games that I want to explore, I want to talk about some monsters that I think are playable monsters that if you could find them, or if you had them, you shouldn't be afraid to get them out. And I'm just going to run down the list of these, and we can talk a little bit about each one individually if we want to. The Killing Ground, which I know is very difficult to find and ridiculously expensive. I really can't believe I paid as much as I did for that damn thing. But I think it's there's a couple of ways with that particular title that you can break that up and play smaller portions of it. So I think that's cool. And they also have multiple scenarios, so you can start June 7th, so you don't have to do the landings every time, which is a superb opportunity to play the game without having to go through the landing cycles, which is kind of a mini game unto itself. Like most D-Day games, it's always broken up into some sort of mini game. I know that's one of the big issues with GTS for me, was that when Omaha comes out, and the other one, the British Beaches, when that was done, British and Canadian Beaches actually, when that was done, you had to play the campaign game. You had to play June 6th, whether you liked it or not, and it's a huge chunk of gameplay. So why they couldn't just use a June 7th start date like Battle for Normandy and the Killing Ground did or does is beyond me. But there's an opportunity here, I think, for folks to use those setup instructions for those two games, reconcile that, and you can use it for these GTS titles potentially. So there's just food for thought for folks. Last Blitzkrieg and Wacht am Rhein, we talked about them last night on Hexy's session. And it reminds me that while Wacht am Rhein from SBI back in the day, big soapbox version, doesn't have any real scenarios, it's just play the game, right? Last Blitzkrieg does, and I would like to get that BCS title back to the table. I played one smaller scenario probably 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and I really enjoyed that quite a bit. And hey, Mike, that's good to hear. That would be a massive improvement if that is the case, and it would actually encourage me to want to buy that. Is it Utah? I thought it was Omaha, but anyway, that's fine. Utah is much more palatable to me. Omaha was just a death trap. So last Blitzkrieg, I would like to get that action to the table. Which then leads me to Gettysburg's coming up in June, the anniversary of that, and I still have not played Line of Battles Gettysburg. I have not played the full Most Fearful Sacrifice either, but they also both have smaller scenarios that I was looking at trying to get something set up for. And I would encourage folks to do this, to take these larger games and make sure they have smaller scenarios, and then take advantage of them and play them. And I think you'll get a lot of satisfaction out of these titles. You'll feel like you've played it and had some experience with it, and then that'll help when you go to play the full campaign. Setting it all up, playing it all together will probably be a lot more approachable now that you've kind of worked through some of the mechanics and things like that with a smaller scenario. So that would be cool. At least I think it would be cool. Now I've got another messy scratching here that I can't read, so we're not going to worry about that. I'll cross all those off. I do have 2 games in progress at the moment on Vassal. One's the Russian campaign. I'm playing against a buddy. In fact, I owe him a turn, so I've got to get that done this afternoon. And I also have Third World War, which is on a brief hiatus at the moment. We're just about to, are we in turn 2? We might be approaching turn 2, I think. For that scenario, for the campaign, so we're playing all 5 modules linked together. I'm a little frustrated being the Soviets, but I'm going to grin and bear it. I have a long-term strategy in that game, so we're going to need to get to turn 5 or 6 to see if I can actually make something happen there and build a winning strategy for the Soviets. I'm not sure that there is one for them, but I've played that campaign several times, and I think the person I'm playing with, Steve, he's also played several times now, and B, we know the system quite well and are not giving each other any breaks, that's for sure. He has been incredibly wily with his gameplay and use of aircraft in that game and use of spoiling attacks and things like that. So he's been very mean, hurting my feelings and not letting me win. All right, so there's those two things. And I have one more topic that I want to cover. So in 2 weeks, I'll be in St. Louis at a mini con thing. I'll be playing Next War Iran, so a playtest version of that with Ralph Shelton. I'll be playing with him, so I'll get to play the full campaign of that and get you some feedback on what I think that's going to be like. And that should be super duper. I'm excited about getting that to the table. And also playing with Ralph means that I can read the rules on the plane and we're good to go. I don't have to worry too much about knowing anything, which is perfect for me, right? It'll make life a lot easier. So I'm excited about that. So that'll be the week of the 16th. I think that is that week. I think that's a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I want to scratch that guy with you two. And then with all of you, I should say. And so let's talk about this other topic first before I get these last two games that I'm interested in playing out. RPGs seem to have come a long way, and by that I mean kind of the D&D style stuff. And it struck me the other day that this is it called? Now I've forgotten the name of the system. It's War Stories and Twilight 2000, Twilight 2K, and Year Zero. The Year Zero system seems to be highly applicable across a super wide range of themes and topics. I've now seen it in 3 different systems, and I really like, despite the fact that it's the same underlying mechanics, same die rolling exercise, and same way that you generate characters and different classes of unit and stuff like that. It really feels like you have a unique game for every single system that's out there. So Twilight 2K feels completely different to War Stories, which feels completely different to, there's a Hollywood one that I only have the PDF of, but it's based on movies. So it was Escape from New York was sent to me to have a look at, and I played a little bit with that, just generated a couple of characters and ran through a couple of combats, and super cool and really, really well done. And so that company, which I'll post in a link up or something at some point, is doing all the big movie franchises and using the Year Zero system, I think, to generate content. So it's kind of cool. So I don't know, what do you guys think about? So have any of you seen War Stories? Have any of you ordered it? They're actually sending me a free copy for some reason. I'm by no means a RPG expert, but I'm going to try and generate some characters, have a little play with it. I wrote a little bit about it when they sent me the sort of the free version of the game to have a look at. I wrote a little bit about it on the blog, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I'm keen to get that to the table with the map and maybe some counters or some minis or something like that, because I've got some little World War II minis that I might be able to find somewhere. They're in storage, damn it. So that could be a problem. But we'll try and do that. All right, let me just grab the commentary here. Yeah, Eric, I have not played Noveski, and probably don't have a huge intention to get stuck into that. So that's a really good question. Yes, it does, Mark, as I recall. I could jump up and grab the module and we could have a look at it, but I believe, so the second edition of Army Group Center has, let me just move this screen. No, that's not helping. There we go. The second edition of Army Group Center actually has either 1 or 2 separate mini maps that you can play scenarios out on. So I think I played Lepel. You can see that on my blog, bigboardgaming.com, and that will have. And that was a quite interesting little scenario. It's a little puzzle you need to solve. And then there was at least 2 others. And then you've got, I think, sections of this, sections of the multi-map situation able to be played both early campaign and later campaign. I think there's a scenario, a river crossing scenario that's near the end of the campaign that you get to try and work your way across. So there's that. So I think that's well worthwhile. My mouse is stuck. All right, let's see. Yeah, so Will GM for food. Yeah, dude, you need to check that system out because he's not dead. It's awesome. All the characters and some of the lines out of the movie are in it, and it's the full his little band of followers and travelers or whatever is all in it. And Eric, yeah, I certainly encourage you to have a look at Fearful Sacrifice. And I'm just running through here. Yeah, and that was one of the things that surprised me, Will, is that it's not just roll a d6 and you get a 1 and you get an arm hit, or a 2, 6 and you get a critical hit. There's some tactical things you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to think about how you use your men and all the rest of it. So I was pretty impressed with how that all works. Yeah, so Historic Wings, this is a great time to be a wargamer for sure. There's that age-old discussion, right? When was the golden age of wargaming? I really think it's right now, not only just because of the sheer magnitude of a number of titles, but also the quality. I think, generally speaking, we're seeing much higher quality games come out, better arts, better graphics, better boxes, innovative mechanics, innovative rule writing, smarter rule writing, much more responsive customer service. That does tend to feed into the needy, I want it now, I need it now, feed me mentality of some of our younger brethren who are war gamers or gamers in general. It's a little bit of entitlement there, I think, but generally speaking, I think we get fabulous service from all the war game companies and the war game publishers, and I think they're doing a great job, generally speaking. So it's a pretty cool time. Firelock. Oh, cool. I need to check that out. Todd, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. I will have a look at how that plays out. All right, let's have a look. Speaking of RPGs, here's a game that's kind of in between. It's not an RPG, and it is a war game. And it is a Hex Encounter war game, no less. And that's Combat from Compass. I picked up Volume 2 because I was so impressed with Volume 1, the second edition of it, right? See, it hurts just to pick up my freaking water cup. That's so annoying. So I've built, based on YouTube fans, YouTube followers, YouTube viewers, I have built 2 squads. Able Team has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks. And Charlie Team has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks. Todd Reed is in it. Jay Taggart, Greg Sapara, Kevin Shetner, Jim Brown, Richard Savage, and the other one's got Josh Cooper, Haro Bosma. I guess he's maybe going to be like a Scandinavian recruit. Who knows? Clifton Franklin and Corey Hoggett. And I got Hudson. Hudson never gave me his last name or first name. He has a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel as well. So he'll be hanging in the team. And then Jeff Friesen rounds out the roster. So I've rolled up everybody's stats, and most of you are pretty good. So I'm excited about I've got the first scenario set all rolled up and done. So the weather and which scenario it is and what's happening, that's all done. I've got to set it up and play it. And that's one of the things that I'm eager to do. But once again, unfortunately, this map is just, it's just a little big. It doesn't fit on my little chalk. Oh, you can't see it. I've got this, you know, the, what do you call it? Corkboard stuff. And it's awkward to make that all fit in my tight space here. So I'm frustrated that I can't really do the game justice in the space I have. So that has kind of been put on hold for the moment. Well, and just cycling back. So I'm trying to work out if I can get and keep the space here to actually run through one full scenario and at least get another session in of combat, because I think it's pretty cool. And we can start killing off some YouTuber fans. And you know, you don't have to unsubscribe when I kill you off. So there's that. Now, that reminds me, when speaking of narrative things, so I think I posted in the link that I have a Substack as well. The Twilight 2000, the whole premise for that was that I was just going to play solo and then write about what happens. And I've got the character. I've got 2 sets of characters written up, and I've done introductory stories for some of them. And I think I've posted those. I'm not sure. I think I have. But I'd like to do some more on that in the next few weeks or months, because that does have a small footprint. It's just finding the time and the energy to do that better quality narrative writing. I'm trying to, you know, use my words right and talk straight and do things right, but it's hard. So I switch in between American spelling and grammar and Australian spelling and grammar and Hindu spelling and grammar. I don't know. It's terrible. So sometimes I'll write stuff and I now have started writing things and then leaving it for 3 or 4 days and then coming back to it and rereading it and going, what the hell was I thinking, and fixing it, which is probably a good idea. So I'm glad I'm doing that. Yeah, well, see, here's the cool thing, Will, is that I'm the GM, so there'll be graceful saves. Let's just say that, and I hope there's not going to be too much combat, right? Depending on what has to happen. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see. I think that's everybody, right? So the last title that I'm curious about and I'm trying to make brain space for is this guy, right? Fields of Fire 2. Yeah, possibly one of the world's depressing, sad, tragic, unappealing covers ever for a box lid. Just, I mean, does that grab you? I know this guy's story. He's a major or a colonel or whatever. And I know what this is all about on the picture. And if you have to know your history to know that, so it doesn't grab you and motivate you to go open that game, does it? It kind of says, yeah, you are going to look like this guy by the time you're done reading that rule book and trying to play your first scenario. So Fields of Fire is something that has been very... Jeff, shut up. Oh, they're going to have plate armor. And you can spell armor however you choose. And so I'm keen to get that to the table, just because I think it might add, it might generate some nice stories for us. And it's friends who are playing it and enjoying it are saying they love it once they work it out. But there's a patience level that's required to actually get through the game and get through the rule system and stuff like that. Mr. Sapara, we were just talking about you, buddy, because you're one of our characters in combat, our pseudo hex encounter RPG game. So good to see you, my friend. I haven't had a chance to chat to you at all recently, so I hope you're doing well. All right, so let's see. 40 minutes in, we can open it up for questions. I know that we had Eric was looking for a game to play in a small space, but it appears that he actually has a pretty decent space, I should say. And I think we answered that question there for Mark G. And Mike, yeah, I had thought Omaha was next up, but you're right, it is Utah. And I'm gonna buy. I have ordered, which there's another thing I'm going to need to make room for. It seems that MMP is going to bring out a lot of games over the next 4 to 6, not 4 to 6 weeks, 2 to 3 months. So we've got Richmond 2 coming. Then there's the GTS mini game in the magazine. So I'm buying that to play it. I believe there's a BCS title pending. And of course, there's all the ASL stuff as well, which is fine. I don't know that I have anything from GMT coming that's imminent, which reminds me, Next World War Poland. I mean, I've got the second edition of that. I've got to get that to the table. So there's another big game that, once again, because of space, I'm stuck not being able to really deal with a game of that size. And it's not only the size, it's the amount of time it takes to play. I can't just really leave it set up in the living dining room office game space. It doesn't really work that way. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, you've played a lot of that, Mike. And I tell you what, when I get my little GTS module, that magazine game, maybe you can play with me on Vassal or something and give me some coaching, so I finally come to a conclusion about whether I like that system or not. That would be cool. Now, no, GMT has also got a swag of games coming out, and on the war game spectrum, Panzer Africa has got to be close. And I know that, of course, Simonitch's title will get punched up the publishing and shipping list pretty soon. I think Africa 41 is due to be shipped soon. So I got to keep space and room and time for that. So all these titles that I've been talking about, when I get a new game in, I often find it's valuable for me to try and get it to the table as quickly as I can. Otherwise it goes into the to be played pile, and we often don't see it for, a year or more, or 2 years sometimes, or in some cases, more than a decade. I have more than a handful of those. So that's something I've been trying to do recently, even if it's only one small scenario. I'm trying to get the game to the table as quickly as possible and get a feel for it, and then work out, okay, yeah, I am going to come back to this, or no, it can wait until later, whatever later ends up being. There's one thing I didn't see in the update was the Falklands title, TCS Falklands title has Goose Green was not discussed. So I guess that is a ways off, which wouldn't surprise me. They tend to take a long time to develop those games, those titles. So that's a thing. All right. And Mike, yeah, thank you. That'd be cool for us to get together on Vassal. I appreciate that. What do we got here? Yeah, so he's going to do Ilau, Rob. So that'll be I think that's going to be the first title. Is that, or is it Leipzig? It's Leipzig, I think. Yes, it's Leipzig. That's going to be the first title that he releases. Which reminds me, New England Simulations is also bringing out its huge Napoleonic monster. 2,400 counters, I believe, is going to be. That is supposed to release sometime in the summer, fall. Yet another title. So we're just inundated with a plethora, as they say, in the Three Amigos, a plethora of games for us to play. What do we got going on? On to Richmond. Yeah. Remember when On to Richmond used to be $400, right? Thank goodness I never paid that amount of money. I got mine for 110 or something, and I'm going to keep all my old ones. I like the old Avalon Hill boxes, and I like the old maps and all that. I'm going to keep most. So I'm going to keep those and then play the MMP ones, I think. Martin, good to see you. Haven't you also, Martin, you've been playing something else as well that I noticed the other day. Were you playing, what's his name? Kharkov Battles, Greg Blanchett's title? Weren't you playtesting that as well? How is that coming along? I know there's multiple Kharkov battle titles that he's working on at different scales and different levels of detail, and one of them is Vassal only release, and they're with multiple publishers. So he's got kind of a plethora. He's got a lot of titles under development. I'd be curious to know from anybody what specifically is going on there, and get a kind of a list and where to focus. I like the level of detail and playability of Kharkov Battles that was released last year. I think that was pretty cool. That kind of worked for me. Oh, so that was your last time, hey? Well, wrong guy. That would be cool. See, there's another. I've got that on pre-order too. Dang it! I am going to be flooded with games here. Hopefully, they're not all hitting the credit card at the same time. All right. You know what? Let's see what else we got here. I'm just looking here through questions real quick. Yeah, well, I think, whether you have the old one or not, it's kind of doubling up, right? I mean, and they're being smart about it. They're adding extra content or merging elements from skirmisher magazines, or, as I said, add more content, or merging two modules together to make it worth your while to do the upgrade. So either way, I think there's a good argument that you should probably buy them, right? Just cause. But anyway, for some of us can't afford to do that. I was certainly debating On to Richmond 2, whether or not I wanted it or not. And it's certainly too late to sell On to Richmond, number one, because it's now basically, conceptually worthless. All right, guys, I think unless folks have questions, comments, or want to discuss another topic, I'm starting to lose my voice here because I got so excited and spoke at high speed for the first 30 minutes. So I'm starting to get croaky here, but I appreciate everyone jumping on and saying hi. And I gave you, a speed run through some of the things we're going to try and get to. None of that's a guarantee. We'll see what arrives at the door and how my time works out with this new gig and picking out tile and harassing the builder and all that sort of fun stuff. We'll see what happens, and hopefully I'll get some stuff to the table and share some content with you and spend some time with you guys all very soon. So looking forward to talking to you again. All the very best, gentlemen. Ciao. Roll some dice, right?